Service. If you're joining us virtually on Zoom or watching us later on social media, we are glad you're here. My name is Vivian Morrison. I'm the worship assistant today, and serving with me is Miss Agnes Loglan as our prayer chaplain, and our musicians are Danny Bauer and Felina Bond, and of course, our favorite featured senior minister, Reverend Kurt Condra is speaking. And the title of his lesson today is Honoring Our Past, Guiding Our Future. And now let's just take a moment to go within and center yourselves. Take a deep breath, inhaling and exhaling. Holy Presence, we know that in God we can never be separate from love, from truth, from infinite intelligence, and the source of all good. We gather here in this sacred time to open our hearts and minds to the one power and one presence. We gratefully receive the energies of divine light and love pouring in and through us. And we affirm we are here this morning for a divine purpose. We trust that that purpose is now being fulfilled, for we are immersed in the Holy Spirit of life, love, and wisdom. And so it is. Amen. And now Felina and Danny.
These are colors that ring true to all I am and feel and love and do. I stand proud and brave and tall. I want justice for us all. Color me America red. I see red when evil speaks. Spill red blood on our streets. And I feel blue from grief and sorrow that it brings. But the white, the light of love, God's own spirit like a dove, lifts us up and hands us an olive branch. Oh, sweet freedom, may you stand in our land and lives always. And may peace and beauty fill our hearts anew. And may we all stand up for you. May our thoughts and deeds be true, and be worthy of your stripes, red, white, and blue. I am red, white, and blue. These are colors that ring true to all I love and feel and see and do. Oh, I stand proud and brave and tall. I want justice for us all. Color me America, red, white, and blue. Oh, sweet America, America, God shed your grace on thee, and brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, Felina. Thank you, Danny. Unity is a positive, spiritual approach based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. We believe there is truth and beauty in every spiritual tradition, and we want to honor the many paths to the one God. Wherever you are on your spiritual journey, please know that you are always welcome here. Our purpose at Unity on the North Shore is to create a safe space where people are empowered to take risks and live their deepest truth. If this is your first Sunday with us, we extend a loving welcome. Many of us were surprised to learn there was a spiritual community that thought and believed the same things we did. And for me, it felt like coming home. We hope your experience this morning is powerful and that you will return. And now I invite everyone to stand now as we join in singing our group song.
Thank you, Danny and Felina. That was beautiful. My name is Agnes Laughlin. I'm your prayer chaplain today, and I will be available at the back of the room after the service by the prayer candle for those who would like to pray with me. And those of you online are invited to place your prayer requests in the chat box. And those in the sanctuary here will find your, you can put your prayer requests in the back in the prayer box. So join me as I read the daily word. The word for today is comfort. I am comforted by the embrace of divine love. When someone dear to me transitions, I may feel fearful and alone. I do not hide from my feelings or seek to numb them, even if I feel tempted. Grief has come to pass, but it cannot pass until I acknowledge and feel it. Opening to all my heart is holding, I feel a presence far stronger than pain. Even in deepest grief, divine love is strong within me, lifting me and making my feelings bearable. As I feel comforted by this love, I become increasingly aware of the peace and strength in my heart. Even in my grief, I am grateful to trust the healing comfort of divine love. It blesses me today and will be an ongoing presence as I need it. My love for those I lost is eternal and unchanging, just like God's love for me. And I would say that grief is just an expression of deep love. And the scripture, blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Matthew 5:4. So let's center ourselves now and rest in the silence, holding in prayer yourself and your loved ones. Take in a few slow, easy breaths. Now let us hold in prayer all who are suffering worldwide. And affirm the presence of God's love, grace, and guidance in every person and every human condition. And so it is. Amen. So, thank you.
All right, here we go. I dreamed last night I got on a bird to heaven, and by some chance I had bought my days along, and there I stood, and I hollered, someone fading me, but the passengers, they knew right from wrong. All the people that said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. All the people all said, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under by the sharp lapel of your shirt. You go, sit down, you're rocking the boat. Now I sailed away on that little boat to heaven, and by some chance found a bottle in my fist, and there I stood, nicely pouring out the whiskey, but the passengers were bound to resist. For the people all said, beware, you're on a heavenly trip. All the people all said, beware, you're scudded over the ship. And the devil will drag you under by the fence, seat tight around your wicked throat. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. To heaven, a great big wave came and washed me overboard, and as That's the moment I woke up and thanked the Lord. And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And I said to myself, sit down, you're rocking the boat. And the devil will drag you under with your soul so heavy you'll never float. Sit down, you're rocking the boat. Oh, sit down, you're rocking the boat. I said, sit down, I'm not rocking the boat no more.
Thank you, Felina. Far exceeded expectations. Thank you. How many know that song? Yeah, we got some Broadway fans. By the way, Felina, the first song was a Dolly Parton song, and the next one was a Broadway song from a show called Guys and Dolls. Just see, what do you need to know about the song? Because very often when I'm putting together sermons and trying to think about what music might work well with that particular message, I'll just get a hit. And this one came like on Tuesday. It was like, oh, that's perfect. And in my head, there was this perfect outline of the whole talk. And then I went on to other stuff. And when I came back to work on the talk, it's like, what does that have to do with Memorial Day? So good question if you're wondering. Let me tell you a little bit about the song, or remind you if you already know. It's sung by a character named Nicely Johnson. And Nicely Johnson is a gambler. And for a whole bunch of reasons I'm not going to go into, but he ends up at this revival, essentially. And he gets up to testify, and that song is sort of his testimony. And he's telling the congregation about this dream that he had, where he was on a boat with a bunch of other passengers headed for heaven. He found himself on the boat with a deck of cards and with a bottle in his pocket. So he's doing his partying and his gambling all the way, and the passengers are telling him, sit down, right? So that's sort of the synopsis of that. Now, why does that fit Memorial Day? This is kind of a stretch, but I would like you to go with me because I think I got some really cool insights out of it. So what I'm going to suggest to you is that you think about the boat headed for heaven out of this Guys and Dolls show, out of this particular song, that boat is really sort of a metaphor for our Memorial Day. And I'm going to have to give you a little bit of history about Memorial Day here. So most of you probably are aware, but Memorial Day really started, it was called Decoration Day back in the early years, and this is right after the Civil War. And different localities, different towns all over the country would decorate the graves of soldiers who had fallen, both north and south. Right? So it was still, there wasn't any sort of unified effort around that mourning or that honoring of those who had passed. Then in 1868, a single day was selected in order to honor all those who had fallen, north or south. So in my mind, it's sort of like the very beginning of this awareness that there needed to be some healing and some mending between the two sides, and those are scars that, as you know, we're still healing today. But 1868 was the first time that it was sort of officially acknowledged as a universal day of honoring. Skip now ahead to World War I, and that's the first time that we had decided we as a nation decided we are going to honor all those who had fallen in any war. So we're sort of becoming more expansive about the honoring that's happening and what the whole celebration and the memorializing is representing. Next little milestone that I'd have you think about is 1968. And that's the point at which it was made an official government holiday in 1968. I think that was kind of a really interesting turning point because as now as a whole weekend, I think since 68, and I was born in 60, so it's not like I have a huge immersion in that historical piece of it, but it feels like since 68, it's become a lot more about the celebration of it. You know, there's this real energy of getting together with family, barbecues, beaches open, summer, like there's this the weekend has become an energy about celebration as much as about the official observance that happens sort of civically and communally. In Evanston, there's one downtown this week, I think at 10, Fountain Square, if you're interested. And I think that's also when we started to see, not that it wasn't happening before, but started really seeing this like, I only have money grubbing is the word. I don't want to give it that context, but it's the word. Like there's an economic driver that happens as a part of this too, right? Like Macy's is having white sales in the department stores, and the grocery store flyers have all kinds of specials that they're selling, and car dealers are doing stuff, and you can buy mattresses on Memorial Day weekend, these sales. So there's this whole other energy that's now built in to what started out as a pretty clear divine purpose. And these days we're now called to hold all of those in a way that is, I think, honors the best of all of it, right? So that's sort of what our journey into Memorial Day is about. And I basically am taking 3 insights from this that I want us to dig into in terms of how do we make sure that we're not rocking that boat to a point that it's going to be collapsing or tipping over, that we can really move forward and be present for Memorial Day in a way that honors our hearts and our spirits and sort of all the physical delights that are available to us as well. The 3 insights I want to talk about. The first is about sort of the quality of redemption and renewal that happens. The second we'll talk about is how we can navigate in turbulent times, right? When the boats are rocking and we need to sort of be able to stabilize a little bit more. What insights can we gather? And then the third that I would like us to bring is that how that we actually can find solace in the midst of all of that. How do we find peace? How can we, even in the midst of celebrating or in the midst of mourning, that there is that sense of presence, that soulful presence that we can bring to any experience? How is it that we can really ground ourselves in that as we move through this weekend together? Okay. So the redemptive quality, I don't know if you noticed, but if I got to touch my face on this side now that we moved the mic, the redemptive quality that happens in the context of that song. In the beginning, there are like 3 verses where Felina was singing, and the people all said, sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down, right? The people are, it's this exterior kind of influence that's trying to change the behavior, right? The transformational redemptive part really arises in the last verse when he switches it to, and I said to myself, sit down, right? Then it's when it arises from within us. So that's how we can begin to access a greater sense of that kind of divine presence, the goodness that happens when it switches from being what we're supposed to be doing, what other people are telling us to do, what maybe even past conditioning has, to that voice within that's really suggesting that, I'm saying what's best and highest and best for me at this point. And it's arising out of a clear intention from my own spirit and my own soul, not anything being imposed from without. I watched there's one of the top movies on Netflix this week to celebrate Memorial Day is called Mending the Line. Anybody seen it advertised in your top 10 picks? I guess I probably should put out a little bit of a viewer's discretion piece. It's a story of an Afghan vet who's returning to the States now for a time of healing and renewal and rehabilitation. And so there are scenes from his flashbacks to the Afghan war that are pretty vivid. So if that bothers you, just know that either close your eyes or this might not be a film for you. And there are some other pieces that are absolutely beautiful about this. It's essentially the story of this soldier coming back to the States carrying an incredible emotional, psychic, spiritual burden. All of his, he was in command, and all the soldiers under his command were killed the day before they were to be, their what do you call it, their term of service was up, their term of duty was up. So he comes back feeling the brunt of all of that and has all kinds of acting out behaviors, all kinds of things that people are telling him around him what he ought to be doing and how he ought to be handling it. And the whole film is really a story of his coming into his, or moving into a space of healing of his own heart, that he can truly be all right, if not completely recovered from, but can truly be in a space that's open to healing and reconciliation, renewal that happens around that. And there are some other characters kind of trajecting on that journey with him, which I think is the piece that is most instructive for us. Because he's got folks around him. He's paired up with another vet who's kind of a crotchety old guy who just, the sort of the stereotypical doesn't want to be up, and he's the old time, wants to be in command and telling him what to do, and just very difficult person to kind of spend time with, especially if you yourself are vulnerable. But the two of these folks get paired up, and what draws them together, and where the title of the film comes from, is this experience of fly fishing. And the title, "Mending the Line," is actually a term. If you're I learned this. I'm not a fly fisherman, but once you cast, right, you cast it out, and unless the line is resting on the surface of the water in exactly the right position, no fish is ever. The fish are going to get notified that this isn't a real bait, right? And so no fish is ever going to take the bait. So the idea of mending the line is how you reposition the line on the surface of the water, right? And that, I think, is what we're all called to do, right? When we're casting for what's highest and best in our own journey, when we're sort of out there searching for that wonderful prize, as we can sort of mend the line of the thoughts that we hold, of the beliefs that we share, of sort of the emotional reality of what we're doing, as we can sort of allow that to settle into a space that is most advantageous, most receptive, most inviting for the goodness of our lives to come forth, then we can really become more present to the beauty of it. The other lesson that I would take from this film is that his healing didn't happen in isolation, right? Not only was this crotchety old soldier who taught him how to fly, fish, and ball, but there were others along the path and all the journey who introduced him to literature, who taught him how to. But there's a community of folks around him to be able to support him in stepping into this sort of space of discovering his own truth, a space that is open and can allow for a greater sense of healing. That's important for us to remember too, because I think especially, at least in my own case, maybe I can't speak for everybody, but I think it's not uncommon for us when we're feeling challenged, for us when we're feeling like the boat's a rockin', when we're feeling, there's a tendency to isolate and try and go, I'll go handle this on my own and I'll fix it myself. And it takes a lot of courage and bravery to extend ourselves enough to reach out and really allow others to support us. I also think that's one of the most beautiful dynamics that happens in a spiritual community like ours, that when we're moving through rocky times or times of grief and mourning, that reaching out and allowing ourselves to receive sort of the blessing and the attention of others is a huge part of how we can also begin to heal and renew and revitalize our own hearts. So keep that in mind. You have a resource here, and some really beautiful souls who are very experienced in the ways of spirit and very willing to be able to share and love you along the way. So just know that. Alice is particularly assigned to be that person today on duty after service if you've got a prayer request on your heart. Let's see. So let's see, the next insight that I would invite us into as we try and smooth out this journey that we're having across maybe rough seas is to be able to navigate the turbulence in our lives in really effective ways. And I would look to the model for this. I almost always try and have a Jesus example somewhere in my talk. So here's the Jesus example for today. It's one that you'll be fairly familiar with, I think most of you, out of the book of Matthew. There is a point at which Jesus is just exhausted. He's been out teaching and teaching and healing all day long, and they're due to sort of cross the Sea of Galilee that night. And so Jesus climbs into the boat with his disciples and promptly just crawls up to the front of the bow and falls asleep, just completely asleep. And so the disciples sail off along the way, and as they're halfway across the sea, the storms rise up and the boat gets pitched and it's feeling like they're going to crash or be sunk or be capsized. And the whole time, Jesus is just asleep in the front, which I love that piece, right? That's a metaphor for the divine within us, is always present and always available regardless of the situation. And when called upon, as the disciples did, out of their panic, out of their sort of crazy, fearful stuff, the disciples finally woke him up. And Jesus was able to sort of rebuke the winds, is how it's termed in the Gospels. He rebukes the seas and everything calms. That's, I think, wonderful practice for us as we start to navigate the rough times, the rough seas in our own journey that we have within us. There are all these other, we have all 12 of the disciples within us. You know that, right? The 12 powers that Unity teaches are all qualities of the divine that we have within us. right? And those 12 powers can express in beautiful ways that are powerful, and they can also express in ways that are actually kind of corrosive. The power of love, for instance, if it's expressed to its fullest in a positive way, it's supportive and wonderful. The power of love, if it's expressed in ignorance, can also be enabling and supporting people in what's worst of them. It's like it's like that namby-pamby kind of love that really has no strength to it. So it all has to sort of be balanced. And as we navigate our way through these kind of rough seas and begin to embody these qualities of the divine more fully, what we're really called to do is imagine that all of those other voices that are arising, the 12 powers that are coming up in unhealthy ways, the little voices in our head are telling that we're not good enough, that somebody else should be doing something a different way, the judgments that arise, all of those are going to be noises in our head. There's always stuff happening. These mental organs are filled with stuff. And it's really only when we can be fully in touch with that divine voice, that quality of the Christ within us, that we can really calm the kinds of seas in the way that Jesus did on the storm across the Sea of Galilee. Does that make sense? So navigating turbulence really requires that we be in touch with the highest and best within us. Can't speak highly enough or often enough about the value of a consistent prayer and meditation practice to be able to most access that quality of the divine, especially when our busy monkey minds are out creating other stories and other dramas. So being centered is the way that we navigate that turbulence. And then the last of the insights that I would share is, and I think it's especially appropriate at this time of year, but what we see reflected, in all of them, in the story of Jesus, in the turbulent waters, and the story of the boat that nicely is sort of pitching around, and in the story of the film, one of the qualities that we see, or one of the spaces where we can make ourselves most available to presence, to be in the moment rather than projecting out or projecting back, is to be really present to what's happening in the natural world around us. I don't know how many of you were on your way in when there was this amazing, I was upstairs in the sanctuary, this rolling thunder that just went on and on and on. Did you notice it? Yeah, it was a really long, it had to go on for, I would bet, 3 minutes. Like the sustained rumbling that just kept going and going and going. There are spaces that sort of take us out of ourselves if we're paying attention to it, and can remind us that this is an amazing sort of cosmological physical plane, right, that we're a part of. So to really tune in and be in tune with the delights that are available to us in the natural world. We had a group showed up here this week to help out in the lawn. I know you can see our prairie is getting quite vibrant and vital, isn't it? I think we're going to have that mowed this week, so it'll be prepared for the concert we have in a couple of weeks. But there was a lot of preparation to do. We had some really heavy winds around, and a bunch of limbs had been blown down, and we had dead branches in places. And so there was a crew here on, what day was that, Friday? Thursday. A crew Thursday that got together and just sort of cleaning up. And it was so beautiful because like all of these qualities were demonstrated. There was a sense of getting to know one another and connection that's happening so that we're building relationships in terms of community. But there's also this sort of wonder at what's happening out in these gardens, in this yard right now. How many have noticed the cicadas? Yeah, it's and what we're getting from the news is that be very afraid, they're going to take over the world. But there are, and literally as you walk around the property here, there's a bunch of those cicadas that are already out, and there's this beautiful kind of low buzzing happening. And what you remember is Madeline, was it you who was talking about the red eyes? Like how striking the eyes on these insects are. And as you begin to really kind of appreciate the diversity and the creativity that happens in nature, and to know that these two are part of a cycle that is part of sort of planetary fullness and wholeness, to be able to be in spaces where we can appreciate those and remember that there is beauty in all of it, and that same beauty is evident in every aspect, every dimension of our human experience. Sometimes it's just a whole lot easier to sort of see it in the world around us. So I invite you this week or this weekend, as we're moving through these Memorial Day energies, right, trying to incorporate all of them, to really be present to what's happening out there. Even if the weather seems cloudy, the beauty and thunder and lightning and the power that's expressed can take you back to a sense of like being a part of something greater in a way that nothing else can. So let's see. I think I'll close there. What I wanted to say is, as I've been thinking about this Memorial Day experience, because Happy Memorial Day, it doesn't work, right? It just doesn't sound right. So what is it you say? The other one was, I could wish you a sacred Memorial Day, that you may find sacred in all that you, which is fine sort of here in church in these kind of spiritual circles. But if I said that to somebody at the grocery store, it is but here's one that I think it's still a little bit out there, but I think it might cause people to center into a different space. But may you have a Memorial Day in which you are fully present to everything that arises. May you have a Memorial Day filled with presence. How's that one sound? May you be conscious this Memorial Day. That's shorter. Be conscious of all that's good this Memorial Day. So what I'd like to do as we prepare to move into a time of meditation, Danny's going to sing us into it and kind of set the vibe. But just in terms of a context, all of us have those within our lives. While certainly tomorrow there will be official recognitions of honoring those who have died in service of the freedoms that we experience, right? That's one of the dynamics. And but also there's this sort of celebration kind of piece. That party piece is also a beautiful part of this weekend that we don't want to lose track of. And the other piece that I would really love us to hold as we move into meditation is that there are folks in our own lives and our own experiences who have been those stabilizing presences and forces for us who have passed. So what I'd like to do in this meditation is maybe just allow some space to sort of play over the memories that we have. And it doesn't matter, maybe you believe that they are angels and that you can speak through other realms and that there's guidance. Maybe you believe that. Or maybe that these entities are just sort of speaking through the memories that we hold from them. However it is that you connect with those who have passed on, just make a space in your heart to be fully present to that we might, in this time of sort of quiet reflection, have them arise in our thoughts and minds and just send out a blessing of gratitude and appreciation for the role that they have played in our own healing and our own discovery and our own appreciation for the divine rumbling around us.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the sweetest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment here, to the new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul.
And so as we prepare to dive into this space of appreciation, I invite you to just first become really present in this moment. And by that I mean physically aware. Maybe you've got a natural way that you just fall into and it's like, oh, I'm there, I'm present. This morning I'd like you to give it a little more attention. Notice the weight in your feet. See if you can't experience an actual embodiment of presence. For some people that comes as like a sense of light, of being in a presence of light or lightness. For some it might even feel like a kind of energetic buzz. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore described it as a thrill behind the eyes. As we center in for this meditation of remembering, what I would ask is that you just allow yourself a space to experience presence. However that occurs for you. Maybe it's just a sense of quieted mind, peaceful heart. So into this awareness of presence, I invite you now to just breathe in deeply and call to mind someone in your life who's no longer with us in this realm, but someone who has had just a wonderful impact, was a wonderful source of support for you in the time that you shared. And for now, I wouldn't say go deeply into the story or the memory, but just simply be present to the energy of the vibration of it. If there is a picture that arises in mind, maybe it's a picture of joy in their faces or a light in their eyes, but just a reminder. And let whatever feelings might arise up around that, a sense of appreciation, a gratitude, a joy, a happiness, and then extend that out, send that out to the universe. An appreciation for the memory, appreciation for re-experiencing what it was like to be together. And then breathe in deeply and breathe out and just say, thank you, beloved. Be silently, or it might even be a whisper. Say it out loud if it helps. Then I invite you to breathe in again more deeply and see if there's not another person that arises in thought or mind. It doesn't even have to be a person, maybe a beloved pet. But some special presence in your life who provided confidence when you needed it most, or a kind word on a tough day. See their face. See if you can't re-experience what it was like to be together. And then once again, breathe in. And as you breathe out, extend that energy with a note of appreciation. Thank you, beloved, for the role you played in my journey. And so now we're going to allow Danny to just keep kind of underscoring, and I'll stop talking. And I would invite you to just continue in this space of remembrance. Maybe it's one person at a time, one pet at a time. Maybe several occur at once, but just be in an energy appreciation for those in your life who have passed on, but whose influence continues to have a bright and beautiful and inspiring impact on you. In the quiet, let the memories flow. So very gently now, as we bring this time of meditation to a close, let's just affirm that the rolling thunder outside is just an acclamation for those beyond, extending their thank you, their gratitude back to us. We are one with them now and always, and the gifts that they have shared with us, we carry with us for always, and we commit to extending those to those in our lives with whom we can be a source of support. So it is, and so we let it be. Amen.
And now is the time in our service where we share our love offerings, and we offer 3 simple ways to give. And details of the 3 are on the screen. Excuse me. You can text, you can use the donate button on our website, or you can send checks through the mail. And as you leave this service today, there's a bowl on the table to drop your checks or money into. Now, no matter how you give, what's more important is why you give. So here are 3 reasons why giving is important for your spiritual growth and well-being. It opens new channels of supply. It reminds us that God is the source of all good. It raises consciousness as nothing else does. So now let's bless our giving and receiving. And if you're not giving at this exact moment, I invite you to set your intention to give. As we speak aloud our blessing with joy and gratitude, and we affirm divine love as me. Bless us and multiply us, all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. And so it is. Amen. Now please stand as we embrace our prosperity as we sing our offertory song. I'm so blessed. What a blessing it is to be here today on this beautiful day. See, I consider rain and thunder a blessing. I love the rain. Just a few announcements. I would like to thank the live stream team. Guys, you are great. Let's give them a hand. And of course, Danny and Felina. And you know what? We usually don't thank Reverend Kurt. Let's thank him today. Okay, our spiritual groups. This is a group for the summer. We're inviting you to join the spiritual group called Soul Flicks. Like that, Reverend Kurt. And embark on transformation journey with this exploration of spirituality through the lens of cinema, hosted and facilitated by Reverend Kurt. Now, each session features a thought-provoking short film from a variety of genres, followed by a discussion. The series is completely free, okay? But we do need you to register, so please register online, or you probably can register here today. Charcuterie party, did I say it correctly? Okay, it was a first for me. Okay, Jasmine is here selling tickets for the summer charcuterie party hosted by Reverend Kurt and John. I don't see John here today, but it's gonna be a blast. They did this last year and it was a fabulous evening. John has a beautiful backyard and there will be food and drinks from around the world. Now, if you purchased it during our gala last November, please let Jasmine know to make sure you're on the list. And there are a limited number of tickets still available if you haven't bought one yet.
It's going to be so fun. It really is a beautiful night. So talk to me, come to me. You can sign up online too.
Okay, Jasmine is waiting for you to make your reservation. Now, in our last announcement, and finally, we want all of you to come out to our summer fundraising concert, In Tune with You. This concert will be much like a day at Ravinia. Okay, let's just go there. Take a moment, Ravinia. But the good thing about this one, you don't have to worry about parking and walking in that long parking lot, and you have space. You don't have a lot of people around you, crowding you out, but there will be people. There will be people. Please come. Okay.
Okay, I was going to ask you to do this, but I didn't want to spring it on you last minute, but you've already started it. So the whole thing about, this comes from Diane Testa, who is great at visualization, right? She suggested that we do this, and she wasn't able to be here today. But she says, visualize, when you said Ravinia, like, go there. How many know Ravinia, right? You spread your, okay, so just breathe in and imagine that is sort of the experience that's transported on this beautiful lawn that's going to be well mowed and groomed by then. And just picture it. Picture like yourself sitting with a little picnic basket.
Don't forget the blanket.
Blankets or lawn chairs, whatever you want. Some people get all fancy. You're bringing your finest crystal and chandeliers.
Yeah.
See it all. Now what we'd like you to do is see who you would like there with you. Like, you have some friends who would love this experience, who would love these incredible musicians. We're going to have all 5 of our usual soloists are going to be there singing, some together, some band. Felina's helping pull together the set list that y'all voted on. Like, just start to put some energy around what that experience is going to be, and then picture it with us. So it is just that the lawn is going to be filled with blankets all around, chandeliers, if you like.
Crystal wine glasses.
Crystal wine glasses. Yeah, what else? Come on, what else are you seeing? Flowers.
Flowers.
Yeah, filled with friends, lots of applause and cheering, neighbors sort of coming out to look and be part of it. And it's just this beautiful gathering. All right, now hold that and keep it in mind closely enough that as you move through the week and you run into friends that you would like to spend time with, but maybe it doesn't feel right to invite them to church, this is a cool experience that's going to be accessible for everybody. So thank you for
thank you,
setting
Reverend
that up.
Kurt. I mean, you made, we're coming, right?
June 9th, it doesn't say.
Oh, June 9th. The date's not on there. June 9th. So 2 weeks from today. Instead of Sunday service, we're going to start a half hour later. So it'll be 11 to between 12:30 and 1 is what we're thinking. Yeah, so and out on the lawn. So great. It's going to be fun.
Okay, and Felina and Danny will be there. Sean Harris, Bobby Wilson, Bruce Henry. We have a whole great lineup of music and fun. Okay. Okay. Right, we have a full band playing. Okay, great. Okay, yay. All right, so please stand now as we join for our closing, and Agnes will lead us in our protection, prayer for protection.
So please join me in the prayer of protection on the screen.
The
Light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine. Thank you. Enjoy